Welcome to Rainy Day Rabbit Holes, where we take the history of the West off the rails.
If you like your history unhinged, you are in the right place.
I'm Shea.
And I'm Jody.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole. Hello, fellow history nerds. Jody, when you were in high school, did you ever think you would consider yourself a history nerd?
No.
Right?
Keith, my husband used to do my homework for me because I hated history. I thought it was so stupid. Who wants to read about things that already happened?
What's the point?
I totally want to slap myself.
Right?
Like, you're such a snotty little idiot.
How things have changed, right?
Yes. I mean, when I look back on her, I often think, good job, girl. You got it.
Right.
You nailed it. You got us here. But then there's things like that.
Yes.
I have one more that is unrelated. We lived in Whidbey Island for our first couple years of marriage, and I hated it because it was so windy. I would do my hair and I would leave and it would just be windy. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, that was like the most beautiful area.
Didn't you say you'd like never went to Cape Disappointment?
No, not till just a couple years ago.
Yeah. But when you lived there, you didn't appreciate Whidbey Island or anything.
Nope.
Stop chewing on the cord, sir.
Cape Flattery. Yeah.
Okay, stop. That is not a toy. Oh my God. Sorry,
I didn't
guys.
do anything there. I drove home. If I left that area, I drove back down to my parents' house. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like doing this has made us do things that we never thought we would do for fun.
Absolutely.
We're doing it for fun.
Not only that, I enjoy hanging out with historians.
I know. They're so interesting.
Right?
And it's,
I'm not boring nerds.
Well, and it's funny now because since we started the podcast and we'll go into social situations and talk to people that don't really care about history. And all I want to do is talk about history.
Right.
And I'm like,
that boring nerd now.
but we're not the boring nerds. They are the boring
That's true.
people that, what are they going to just talk about what they watched on TV?
Yeah. Like sometimes I get into these stories and I'm like, wow, you're really passionate about that story.
Right.
I'm like, but you don't understand.
Let me tell you about Madam Mustache.
She was so amazing.
So one thing I've been doing at physical therapy, because I'm still going to physical therapy every week for my shoulder, is I will regale the therapist with whatever unhinged story that we have done. And I'll be like, so Phil, have you heard about the Sourdough Cocktail Club?
I love it. I love it.
And sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, I told my girlfriend about that or whatever. It's very fun.
Great.
So besides being a history nerd and a Star Trek nerd, I'm also a true crime buff.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm. I knew that.
I wouldn't call myself a true crime nerd because I think being into true crime this day and age makes you more cool.
Oh, yeah.
So much so.
High class.
I'm very high class nerd. That at one point I hosted a true crime trivia at the former Counterbalance Brewing in Seattle.
Yeah.
So now I know we try to keep things light on this podcast and not go down the true crime path, but we might occasionally take a fork in the road to bring you some great history of the West that involves some true crime. So like the next story that I'm going to bring you guys is definitely a true crime story, but it's unhinged. It's a little crazy. So
Unhinged is
our bread and butter.
Need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So today we are continuing our series on PNW history tours. Today we are reviewing a tour that we took Jody, I think it was like June of last year.
It could
we took
be
the Lakeview Cemetery tour.
Yeah, I mean it was raining. Yeah, it was June because I had just gone to a concert in Seattle. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, all I remember that was the atmospheric river that was happening. It was pouring down rain.
Pouring.
It was raining so hard. It was like raining like movie rain.
It was flat and there was rivers.
Yes. But we are strong Pacific Northwest women, and we braved the rain, though we did use umbrellas that day.
Yes.
There is a point in the Pacific Northwest, the whole only tourists use umbrella. No, there is a point where it is raining so hard, if you have to be outside for a long time, you're going to use an umbrella. Come on.
We would never have, we would have been so drenched. We were drenched anyway.
It was like it was hitting the ground and coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we are going to review the Victorian True Crime and Tragedy Tour in Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle. And we took this tour with Richard from Seattle History Tours, also known as Civil War Seattle. So first, Richard, I have to give you an apology for taking so long to review your tour.
Took a minute to get to this series.
Yeah, what's 8 months, 10 months, whatever it's been. Life got in the way in a big time way.
Yeah.
Big time last year. So when Jody and I signed up for this tour, we knew it would be interesting because, like, hello, Victorian crime and tragedy.
Right. And I was like, Civil War in Seattle, like a whole.
These are two words that don't belong together.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He brought to light, oh, yeah, a lot of people that had fought in the Civil War moved to Seattle afterwards. Like, we don't really think about the Civil War in terms of the Pacific Northwest. It happened far away.
Right, definitely.
But it was definitely impacted the Pacific Northwest. We just never think about it.
Exactly. It just never crossed my mind. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. So Richard has a passion for Civil War history and the veterans who ended up in Seattle the decades after the war. Let me tell you, he knows his stuff. The way he wove together the history of Seattle, the lives and often untimely deaths of the people buried at Lakeview Cemetery, and the bigger picture of how the city was evolving at the time was just excellent. It was engrossing, even though we were being dumped on.
Right. It was, and there's so many stories.
Yes.
That we traveled over this cemetery. So many stories.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I think we could have gone on and on.
I think so. We were just very cold and wet.
I was done.
The spirits of Lakeview were not about to let us get too comfortable for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, but we went afterwards. We all went out and had a beer and a nice warm bowl of soup, so it was fine. It worked out. So the tour was packed with tragic accidents, unsolved mysteries, and straight up murder stories. So one of the ones that stuck with me was the story of Charles W. Nordstrom, who was hanged for murder in 1901 and buried in Lakeview Cemetery. Nordstrom murdered hop farmer William Mason over $3.85 in unpaid wages he believed he was owed.
It's like $50, right?
Enough
60?
for murder?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, the story is that he had been paid his wages and he had actually left a job he had been hired to do unfinished, but he felt that he was owed more.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But who knows?
Greed.
Like, history is often written by not the people down here.
Right. Absolutely.
So he hid behind a fence and shot Mason through his dining room window as the man sat eating dinner with his family. And I'm not going to give you any more of that story. I'm going to let Richard tell the rest of it. And the way Richard tells it, you can practically see the scene unfolding in front of you, even as you shiver in your rain-soaked jackets. Yeah. Hopefully when you guys go, it won't be an atmospheric river.
Yeah.
It does not always rain like that in Seattle.
No, it rained like TV. Seattle on TV.
It was
it rained like that, legitimately.
Yeah, like there was a rain machine over us the entire time. And beyond the true crime stories, we also get a deep dive into the cemetery itself, its origins, how it's grown over the years, and how it became Seattle's most famous final resting place. So let's talk about Lakeview Cemetery itself. This place is like a who's who of dead people in Seattle's history.
All right. Yes, it is. It had a lot of big names that we recognized.
Big Seattle names. Mm-hmm. So it was established in 1872, and it sits right next to Volunteer Park on Capitol Hill. Over 40,000 people are buried there, which seems impossible.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Are they burying them on top of each other?
Yeah, it was sprawling, but not that. 40,000, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And let me tell you, some of them did not go gently into that good night.
No, they did not.
So Lakeview Cemetery was originally founded by a group of Seattle pioneers who wanted to establish a non-sectarian burial ground for the growing city and was originally known as the Seattle Masonic Cemetery. It quickly became the final resting place for many of the region's most notable figures. The cemetery's location, perched on Capitol Hill, provides a serene and picturesque view of Lake Washington, hence the new name, Lakeview Cemetery. Over the years, it became not just a burial ground, but a historical landmark reflecting Seattle's evolution from a frontier town to a bustling, if still tiny, metropolis. Amongst the most famous graves at Lakeview is that of Bruce Lee, the legendary martial artist, and his son Brandon Lee. Bruce Lee's untimely death in 1973 shocked the world, and his grave remains one of the most visited in the cemetery. Fans from around the globe leave flowers, letters, and even martial arts belts in tribute. Brandon, who tragically died on the set of The Crow due to a prop gun malfunction, was laid to rest beside his father in 1993. Excellent movie, by the way, The Crow.
Oh, I forgot it was like 1993. That's
Yeah.
wow, long time ago.
Love that movie. They should not have remade it. I haven't watched the remake, but it still seems like
Oh, I didn't realize they did.
yeah. And even though Bill Skarsgård played the Crow, and I love him as an actor, you didn't need to remake that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was what it was. It was a film of its time. The music, the mood, very goth.
Well, I don't want to shock you or anything.
You haven't seen it. Or you probably fell asleep in it one time.
No, never even that.
Never even had the honor of falling asleep in it. I'm going to tell Rich, and he's going to force us all to watch The Crow. Maybe that's what we'll do tonight is go do pizza and watch The Crow at home. We've got it on Blu-ray.
Blu-ray's still a thing, huh?
Well, I mean, the Blu-ray, I bought him 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Do you have a player still?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. People buried in Lakeview Cemetery.
Lots
of
people.
40,000, but not all 40,000 are notable. I'm sure they all were fine people.
I hope I'm notable. Maybe not.
We have this podcast. This will be our legacy.
Oh, yeah. We're
Yeah.
famous.
We're famous.
Oh, gosh. I want one of those big headstones that look like like a pillar.
We're being composted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Doesn't mean we can't buy a headstone somewhere.
Right. Might
But
defeat the purpose of my composting, but whatever.
Somebody else's grave. It's our headstone.
She's not really here.
Look,
she's been composted. She's making trees somewhere.
We
but
will
in honor of.
Pay for your grave site. We can have the headstone. Thank you very much.
I need the big one so I can write a lot of things.
the plinth.
Yes.
It's like really tall. And we need a mausoleum is what we need,
There
girl.
we go. Tell the tale. Right here in my headstone.
Another significant figure buried here is Princess Angeline,
Mm-hmm.
the daughter of Chief Seattle, who is the namesake of our city.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the last remaining members of the Duwamish tribe to continue living in Seattle after the city's rapid development displaced many of the indigenous people. So despite being the daughter of the city's namesake, she lived in poverty, selling hand-woven baskets to survive. Her burial at Lakeview serves as a reminder of the complex history between Seattle settlers and its native peoples. The cemetery is also home to Henry Yesler.
Yes, I remember.
Lumber Yesler, you remember?
I was just going to say that. Read it.
A lumber baron and one of Seattle's founding fathers, the subject of episode 58 of our podcast. Go back and listen to that. So Yesler built the city's first steam-powered sawmill, fueling Seattle's early economy. His business ventures helped shape the city, but his personal life was just as colorful. He was known for his less than honest business dealings and his free love philosophy. Scandal.
Very scandalous. Of the time, especially.
Yeah. Ooh.
Way beyond his years. Or no, way ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time. Horace Caton, a prominent Black journalist and publisher, also rests here. He was the founder of the Seattle Republican, a newspaper that fought for civil rights and racial equality in the early 20th century. How times have changed, things labeled with Republican. Right? It's very ironic.
That sounds a lot like DEI.
Anyway, his work provided a voice for Black Seattleites during a time when discrimination was rampant. Unfortunately, his newspaper eventually folded due to financial struggles, but his legacy remains an important part of Seattle's history. Actually, all newspapers in Seattle eventually folded. Is the Seattle PI like the only one left?
I think it's the Times.
The Times?
Yeah.
Is PI online only?
Mm-hmm.
You can still get The Stranger, though, in paper.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think they still put out their publication in
You know what I liked was the little local Times. Like we had Highline Times and there was and when we lived in Milton, they had one. I love that.
I think all those are anymore is just real estate ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Instead of local stories.
Yeah. Other notable burials include Thomas Mercer, the surveyor who named Lake Washington and Lake Union, John McGraw, a former Washington state governor, Gottlieb Burien, the founder of the city of Burien, Washington, spelled differently though. Why am I saying her? I don't know if Gottlieb was a man or a woman. Probably a man.
I think it's a man.
Burien, his last name was Burian, and Burien is spelled Burien today. Mm-hmm. Who knows where that came from? Anyway, and Seattle's first female mayor, Bertha Knight Landis, who broke barriers for women in politics.
Wow.
But most notable of all is the members of the Denny party that are buried there. Carson Boren, Arthur Denny, George Fry, and Doc Maynard.
Doc Maynard.
We are going to do a big story on Doc Maynard. We might do a couple parts on Doc Maynard. I have a book to read about him when I get around to reading that book.
Definitely a story for you.
But this tour wasn't just about the well-known names. It was about the tragedies, the crime, and the chaos that left people resting in this historic cemetery. Richard, our guide, has a true passion for the history of Civil War veterans who ended up in Seattle in the decades after the war, and he shared some absolutely wild stories about their lives and deaths. I don't want to give away too much because you should totally take the tour yourself, but you've got tales of disasters, shipwrecks, industrial accidents, and just really unfortunate ways to go, dumb criminals, and tragic tales of deaths that could have been prevented.
Mm-hmm.
Richard is a great storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to weave in the historical details with the kind of gripping storytelling that keeps you hooked. He also gave us a great history of the cemetery itself, how it's evolved, how space is running out, and even some of the ongoing efforts to preserve the grave sites of Seattle's past. So would we recommend this tours?
I definitely would.
Yes.
Especially if you like Seattle history. There's the legacy in that cemetery is incredible.
Yes. I mean, it can take you down hundreds of rabbit holes just because of the historical figures there.
And even, if you don't recognize their name now, when you see their headstone, Richard's going to let you know, oh, wow, that is a famous person or an impactful person to what Seattle is today or the Pacific Northwest, or in some cases, that's just tragic.
Yeah, it taught us a lot about Seattle history. That just one tour,
how we got there in general, from the Civil War time on, how it was created, settled, constructed, who the players were, how they played, that kind of stuff. It's very good tour.
Lakeview Cemetery is right next to my favorite park in the city, which is Volunteer Park. And Volunteer Park is home to a couple of things that you'll want to see. So if you haven't explored Capitol Hill yet, if you're coming in to visit Seattle for a trip, or maybe you live in Pacific Northwest, but you've never really explored this part of Seattle, Capitol Hill is my very favorite neighborhood in Seattle. I'm biased. I lived there for 10 years, but Volunteer Park has a conservatory that is incredibly beautiful, many beautiful plants, and it's a wonderful place to go when it's cold because it's nice and warm in there. They also have the Seattle Asian Art Museum, which is one of my favorite museums in the city.
I don't think I've ever been to Volunteer Park. If I have, I don't recall knowing it was Volunteer Park.
Oh, we need to go there one of these days and go to the museum and the conservatory. And then there's a water tower that you can walk up. That I used to
don't think I've been there.
I used to go run up those stairs in the water tower every day.
Must not have been a spiral staircase.
It's a spiral staircase, but it wraps around this huge water tower. Okay. So it's like a big spiral staircase.
So not the kind you don't hate.
Yeah, it's not the tight spiral staircase that makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, yep.
And it also has this sculpture called the Black Hole Sun that you can see the Space Needle through.
I almost sang that song.
Yeah, it's the inspiration for Soundgarden's song, Black Hole Sun. Yes. It is an absolutely beautiful park.
Are you not surprised I knew that song?
I'm actually very surprised.
Yes. Okay, so I do want to go to this park. You're going to have to take me.
So it's on 15th. And that we went there to the Canterbury. No, we didn't go to the Canterbury because Canterbury is no longer around. We went to the Hop Vine right there. Really cute little section of shops and restaurants. So we could go there and explore those. There's some really great restaurants there.
Let's pick a day where it's nice out, because that neighborhood we went to, so cute.
It's so cute. So we used to live
like out of a movie somewhere.
It is.
It's like a Seattle street scene could totally happen there.
It still feels like small city, big town, small city in that section.
Right. Like when you're watching a movie in a city where it's like there's only two people in the scene and yet you're in the city. It's that kind of little neighborhood where it looks big city, but it's quieter.
So they haven't torn down all the old buildings and built high rises yet like they have with most other iconic neighborhoods in Seattle. Like even the Broadway district in Capitol Hill, they have torn down a lot of the old buildings and built big apartment buildings with retail on the bottom. So it's changed a lot. Plus they put the light rail station in there, which really changed the landscape a lot. But 15th Ave is its own little thing that has been very well preserved. Like, it's not changed much since I moved away from there 12 years ago. And so we used to walk up there because we lived at 19th and John, where the Seattle Singles building is, in Coryell Court. And we would walk up to 15th all the time. I mean, it was 4 blocks. It was great. And so that's where we would go for everything. Love it. So I would run when I was really into running at the time. And so I would run around Volunteer Park almost daily. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely fantastic
All right,
park.
take
Love
me
it
and
so
show me.
much. I will. Yeah, we need to do some little field trips. I miss our field trips. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. So if you love true crime history or just an excuse to walk through a gorgeous cemetery with a guide who knows his stuff, this is a must do. Just maybe bring an umbrella.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. Seattle.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Yep.
Sometimes it's beautiful and sunny like today, or sometimes it's pouring hail sideways and raining like yesterday. So you can sign up for his tours at civilwarseattle.com. He's also got great tours of Pioneer Square that we need to go take. He's got some more Victorian true crime in Pioneer Square. And he's got a women's history tour of Seattle now. That sounds amazing. And he's like on the board of Bothel's Historical Society or something. Don't quote me on that, but he's a good historian.
Yes.
He's great. So that's all for today. And if you've ever visited Lakeview Cemetery or taken one of Richard's tours, let us know. We love to hear your thoughts. And you can email me at shay@rainydayrabbitholes.com. And, reviews are really awesome. So maybe you could take a moment out to review us. On Spotify, you can leave a 5-star rating. And you can leave a nice comment on one of our episodes. Or on Apple, you can leave a full review and hopefully a 5-star rating. I don't know who gave us that 1-star and that 2-star review.
Shay's going to find you.
Find you. Shame you.
I've already forgotten about it, but Shay.
I have not. Every time I get on there and I see that, I'm like, who? And they didn't make any comments.
Right.
They could have at least made a comment.
Justify that one.
Justify that review. But we're not for everybody. That's fine.
No, we're not. And I don't want to be.
No, but here's our nice review.
Okay, go for it.
From Letha D, who gave us 5 stars, deservedly, and wrote, I love the P&W, and I love learning about its history and quirky stories. Thank you to the hosts for doing the work to make this so thoughtful and entertaining.
Oh,
thank you, Letha.
You're welcome, Letha. And thank you for taking the time to say something.
Really appreciate that. And that means the world to us. And Letha is also a beloved patron of our show. So
extra.
Yeah. You get all sorts of
We have a super
perks.
fan.
Yep. Like ad-free episodes early, as well as bonus episodes and gifts. And in fact, I think it's almost time to send Letha another gift.
Excellent.
So what do you think, Letha? How about a mug?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, got mugs. And if you guys want these perks, you can learn more at rainydayrabbitholes.com/support. And as always, follow us on social media. Check out our blog for more episode details sometimes.
Sometimes.
I get to about every 5th one. And don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay curious and stay out of unmarked graves.
Oh, yes.
See you down the rabbit hole.